What's up? What's up, smart mouth? How you doing, man? Turn this camera off. Hey there, Linda. How you doing? Oh man, let me get everything set up here. I just figured I'd go live. I didn't see nobody else live, and Unc's bored, so I was like, "Fuck it, let's go live." What's up, Darker Bleach? Tennessee Trixie, how you doing? Man, what y'all think about fucking that song with Church and Fish Tank? That motherfucker was a banger, bro. That's that shit right there. I like that type of shit. What's up, little mate? I see you over there farming. A rogue mod against you. Who's the rogue mod against you? Tell me which one of them it is. It wouldn't be little me, is it? I don't think he's rogue. I think he just was like, all right, goodbye, Charlie. Look, man, you had the wrong section, bro. We don't have no sheep over here, Charlie. So I didn't play. That's what's up. Yeah, I guess he's still a little upset that you tied him out the other day. What's up, Slayback? What's happening? Yeah, that motherfucking song was a banger, bro. We fixing to listen to it. We fixing to listen to it. Dragging. Oh, little me, you fucking use asshole, bro.
Have you
That fucking acoustic guitar, man.
Words live up to the feathers thereof. A rooster's job is making man something not unknown. And we all race the sun.
Little me, you do your thing, bro. What's up, leg day?
Trying to keep up with the moon, staying dry from all storms, so we soak up skies blue. For what it's worth, just remember, I run with no pretenders. So if you do not love me tender, probably cause the vengeance cut the rope of the ones trying to hang the wrong bitch. Leaving a lot of silence for them downtown singers, many lyrics unfinished, many flowers not given. My position in the refs is to be a intellect. Without a dollar to my name, the soul remains the same. Became a staple cause the singing that I sang. Music city made it killing. It kinda won't remember. 6 strings, 6 rounds, got you 6 until they get you. Give a dozen rebel roses to the ones who won't surrender. If you playing and they love it but won't sell it, Music City makes it killing.
This motherfucker's a banger, bro.
Music City makes a killing. That's a record you ain't heard.
Yeah.
Music City makes a killing.
Is it sped up? It is just a little bit, ain't it? My bad. It damn sure was sped up. Not much.
I don't pull strings, I just pick and turn my love to hateful mention. Then the meaning of a critic, then you hinder in a painter. But some folks gotta hear it to liberate their spirit. So searching non-existent, never left to call it missing. My hits are when I feel them and they hit you in your feelings. The highwaymen we cherish lived a lonesome dark condition.
Yeah,
The
man.
rebels never rebel day.
Think I better pause it. We'll just speed it back up. Fuck it. It's hard for me to pause it though when it's fucking a good jam. It really is, man. You think it sounds better slowed down, Linda? All right, we'll leave it slowed down there.
It was slaves that
It doesn't matter to me. To me, the motherfucker just is. Them two need to work together a lot. Is what it sounds like to me. Them two are like a perfect match together. It sounds like.
didn't matter.
Well, all three of them really, because you can't forget Clooney.
Be the storm
Yeah,
that made the town burn the bridges. Murder on music road, perpetrating the authentic. And that's why I'm saying.
I would just stop it. Unk don't give a fuck about no strikes. Yeah, right. Well,
Music City made a killing. I'm a proven witness. If you got too many heads, then they put you on a head list. Music City made a killing. The kind of won't remember. 6 strings, 6 rounds, got you 6 until they get you. Give a dozen rebel roses to the ones who won't surrender. If you playing and they love it but won't sell it, Music City makes a killing. Let the record you ain't hear. Music City makes a killing.
yeah, chicks. Hey, them two right there, they got a fucking chemistry for sure.
That's a record you ain't heard. Music City makes a killing. Every song y'all got is empty. Everything is spitting wasted. Spending time down the waste. And you know it's too expensive. Put the truth inside a bottle so the label owners hear me. Want a song to be a problem? You get the last bottle of Whitley. I think the nickname is guilty and mine should be the man. Cause my judgment on your actions are the actions on my head. And I said, Music City makes a killing. But the city's in my spirit. Burn it on my birth certificate. I'll be Lucius till heaven to send me. I'll be the rhythm they all know they ain't getting.
Ha! Diddy dab, you fucking crybaby, Charlie. Them sheep, man. It's them fucking sheep. He can't find his fucking sheep. They're lost, and Charlie's looking for his fucking sheep. I don't know what Charlie be doing with them sheep, but
Keith Whitley was found dead in his Goodlettsville home just after noon today. At this point, his death is a mystery.
yeah, that shit was crazy about Keith Whitley. Keith Whitley was a shit when he first fucking hit the scene. He was. He's always big mad, Asmik. He's always big mad. Fuck. I don't know what for. Fuck. He does this shit to his goddamn self. You try to be subtle with him. I mean, some people just don't get it, I guess. I don't know. Meh. We'll figure something else. What the fuck's this motherfucker doing? Let's see how he's lighting a cigarette with his drill. You know how pissed I'd fucking be? Talking about smart. Motherfucker drilling holes in the slab for a fucking dam. No, I thought he wanted to throw some fucking 2 little 15s on her. No, I got excited when he seen that shit. Well, it was a fucking metal screw for metal roofing is what I think it was, Flint. But yeah, he drilled a hole in people's fucking concrete slab. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at, Slayback, when I kept saying that shit. He just didn't understand it. Or he just didn't fucking hear it. Either way. I'm gonna let Candace play in the background. Looks like she's fucking gaining steam, to be honest with you. Well, maybe not. Maybe that was just that one. I tried to listen to this
Are
last
you
night at work,
researching
but
dental implants?
There's a lot of dental offices that'll talk about doing
it's too fucking loud in there.
their teeth in the day.
All right, you guys, happy Wednesday. Sorry we're running
We don't
late
care about all
today.
that.
Hoisted by his own petard. That's an expression, obviously, that we use a lot. And I have this thing where I always
Never heard of it. I've never heard that fucking expression. Has anybody else?
have to go back and research and figure out why we use common expressions because nobody actually thinks about those things anymore. Well, this one is pretty obvious. It refers to when soldiers would use a petard, essentially a bucket-shaped explosive
It's pretty much just locked Portland down. Tiffer got spanked 4 days. So they rounding them up. What's up, True Texan? Are they rounding them up there, Grizz? Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now. Why is it that these motherfuckers will go out there and fucking riot and tear shit up for fucking illegal aliens, but they won't stand up for the fucking people that's already here? To me, when I see that shit, it's like, what the fuck? You got people here that's fucking, I don't know, man. That shit just.
device packed with gunpowder, effectively a bomb, to blow up
I've got a smart mouth. I've got a 4-horse Johnson with forward and reverse, but the pull starter on it is that mechanism that swings up. You know what I'm talking about? Instead of the one that the wheel kind of slides up, this one, the arm kind of comes up and catches the flywheel in the fucking, the return spring mechanism. That little black coil is fucked up in it. I need to order one, but it is a bitch to put it back together. It took me about 4 hours last time. It took about a minute and a half to take it off. Putting that motherfucker back together was a different story. Trying to get all them wraps in there. Good. That's what they should do, bro. That's what they should do. I seen that, what's that dude's name that always talks about prison? JR or some shit, kind of big dude, kind of talks real loud. I seen he was somewhere fucking with Antifa. I was like, yeah.
up the gates and wall fortifications of their enemies. They'd light the fuse, and sometimes
Well, I got a 4-horse,
They would
bro.
be
What?
hoisted.
It's a 7-horse? I don't think I've ever seen a 7-horse. I've seen a 6-horse.
by their
I got a
own mobs.
9.5.
And that's exactly what is happening right now to Josh Hammer for weeks after the assassination
I bet your boat came with a 9.5 on it too. I bet that model did more than likely. I got one of them, and it runs pretty good.
of Charlie Kirk. Josh Hammer obsessively
When
and
they call him Turtle.
shamelessly accused people of lying, people of grifting, people of attempting to destroy Charlie Kirk's legacy. Charlie Kirk was his friend, he claimed rather maniacally, that Charlie never once flinched on the topic of Israel. He died just loving Israel. It was like, are you kidding me? That's all he cared about. Check out just some of these tweets, by the way. This is a collage. We just don't have all day here to gather crazy Josh Hammer tweets, but you get the idea. There is a repulsive op right now to hijack Charlie Kirk's legacy. There is a repulsive op right now desecrating
crazy.
Charlie's memory by trying to posthumously convert him to Groyperism. I can't believe there's something known as Groyperism. I was given access to this letter a few months ago,
Does
and
it
I read
really?
it at that time.
Or is that the max horsepower that it was supposed to be and put on there, Bo?
Tucker, Candace, and other bad faith
Oh,
actors
look.
are lying through their teeth about Charlie and Israel. Candace Owens and other grifters, you get that back up for a quick second. Candace Owens and other grifters are trying to posthumously rewrite and hijack the legacy of the great Charlie Kirk to further their patently evil ends. There has been a repulsive op. The reality is simple. Charlie was a bridge. Like, it's weird that he keeps repeating that sentence. Like I said, maniacal, obsessed. And of course, in the comfort of his own derangement and with the full support of the press and the silence of Charlie's other quote unquote friends, Josh was really acting the part of a true Pharisee. He was certain that the truth would not rise again. He was so confident that he had killed it and that he could himself hijack the legacy of Charlie Kirk. Except the truth did kind of rise again. It kind of always does rise again. And the world now knows that Josh Hammer had personal, intimate knowledge that Charlie's views were changing. He lied about the Hamptons meeting. I've told you the truth from day one. Seth Dillon and Josh were personally upset with Charlie's defiance against the state of Israel. Seth Dillon was.
I don't know about that shit with Charlie and all them, but I know this. I know all them little fucking babies over there are dying, and I'll be glad that they wind that shit down.
The more
It's like, where the fuck are them people supposed to go? They fenced in. Ain't that Gaza Strip fenced in?
vocal of the two parties in the Hamptons, as I said, in terms of actually pressing Charlie, but both of them were upset about the way that they saw his viewpoints shifting. And Tucker was therefore
Diamond Cutter, I think she's beautiful. I honestly do. Unc's not really attracted to black women, but in this case, she's fucking beautiful.
correct at Charlie Kirk's memorial. It was definitely the correct analogy when he spoke
she's
about
intelligent
these
as
sorts of
fuck,
individuals who plot and lie and think that they are going to be successful in, well, murdering the truth in the story of Jesus Christ. Take a listen.
Charlie would have loved this, not just because he loved large groups of people, but because ultimately he was a Christian evangelist. And it actually reminds me of my favorite story ever. So it's about 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem, and Jesus shows up and he starts talking about the people in power, and he starts doing the worst thing that you can do, which is telling the truth about people, and they hate it, and they just go bonkers. They hate it, and they become obsessed with making him stop. This guy's got to stop talking. We've got to shut this guy up. And I can just sort of picture the scene in a lamplit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about what do we do about this guy telling the truth about us? We must make him stop talking. And there's always one guy with the bright idea, and I can just hear him say, I've got an idea, why don't we just kill him? That'll shut him up. That'll fix the problem. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Everything is inverted, and the Beatitudes tell it, I think, the most crisply. Everything is sort of the opposite of what you think it's going to be.
That is a fact. And it will always be the opposite of what you think it's going to be when you are attacking people who are telling the truth. And the truth is that it is now an established fact, like I said, that Josh Hammer knew that Charlie Kirk's perspectives on Israel were changing. And since that announcement, Twitter users pointed out a very strange tweet that Josh Hammer hit send on 16 hours before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. For no apparent reason at all, he retweeted something that President Donald Trump had sent a full 12 years ago about public executions. Here it is. Here is that retweet. Trump wrote on April 19th, 2013, should be public execution for all to see. You will end this bull fast. And Josh Hammer just replies and says, based. You can see we are in Central Time, so that's about 9:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, what is the justification for this? There might be one. I tried in earnest to at first rationalize it. What could have been going on that Josh Hammer decided to dig through the 2013 Twitter archives and retweet someone calling for a public execution? Well, I'll let one of the many Zionist PR agents explain it first. Yashar R for Zionist.
I don't know where he was shot
personally.
from. but I know he was fucking shot. And to me, it's just a hard sell to deck with that. I will say that. It looks crazy as fuck to a normal person. Sure.
On the right and on the left, tried to explain it away by kind of lying, I would say. He tried to claim definitively that Josh was referring to the criminal who horrifically murdered the Ukrainian refugee, Irina Zarutska, in North Carolina. That was obviously a big story in the beginning of September. Yashar Ali
Hey, Gina, how you doing?
wrote this. Last night, Candace Owens tweeted notorious neo-Nazi Sam Parker, who pointed out that Josh Hammer.
See, you know what though? Either way, no matter what happened to Charlie or who did it or what have you, the media is responsible for that shit, for gaslighting all these fucking people all the time, man. There's no sense in doing that, right? But they don't give a shit as long as their story sells. That's really what I mean. Y'all know the fucking deal. I ain't telling you nothing you don't know.
Who is Jewish and was a friend of Charlie Kirk's, elevated a Trump tweet from 2013,
crazy,
the day
though.
before, which called for public executions. Candace, of course, would like people to believe that Josh's quote tweet is suspicious in the context of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But Josh was just sharing what many conservatives were sharing and stating the day before. That's because they were talking about the horrific murder of Irina Zarutska. This is where I say that no civilized nation uses the death penalty, in parentheses, referring to his own thoughts. Now, another user then jumped on that and tried to establish a non-fact that the footage of Irina's murder was released on that day, on the 9th, and that's why Josh tweeted that. All of this.
Hey, let me ask y'all this. Do you think, because I didn't really watch a whole bunch of Charlie shit, just like everybody else, it come up in shorts and stuff like that. But them cameras that were put behind him, they were saying that they didn't usually put them up there. You think there was a reason why them cameras were hung up behind him, or is that something they was lying and that's something that they used all the time? I wondered about that. Was it to actually catch the fucking, like, did somebody know something?
This is factually untrue. Okay. Irina was murdered on August 22nd. Her perpetrator was arrested that same day, and the footage was released and trended.
That's kind of
on
what I
X
thought,
on
Grizz,
September.
or the, you know what I mean, to the direction of where it come from, just so they had more solid evidence on that kid. What's up, Sean? That's kind of what I thought.
5th. Josh himself sent multiple tweets regarding the homicide, as everyone did, because, like I said, it was trending. And when he was asked specifically about punishment, criminality, perhaps that her perpetrator.
Yeah, hey, they're seeking the death penalty. They're seeking the death penalty, and then they swoop in there and fucking remodel the crime scene as fast as they fucking possibly can. I've never seen that happen before.
At no point.
Or
that I
you
could
would
determine-
you would at least think they would take their time a fucking week or so, not fucking 2 or 3 days, I think it was.
whether he was on the news, whether he was on his own show or anywhere else, did he speak about the death penalty or, a public execution? Instead, as you will see, and we will show you Josh in his own words, he spoke about the double standards surrounding the media coverage of her murder. And
Hey, and then they sold tickets to the fucking funeral. Or whatever that was. They put him on public display and sold tickets to it.
really the topic of criminality more broadly and safety in America, take a listen to what Josh said.
If you live in Georgia and have a good driving record, you're being scammed.
Fucking crazy.
Gabrielle, I'm a lawyer by training, and I remember my first year of law school back in 2013 when I was taking criminal law. This is kind of the beginning of kind of the left's kind of foray into so-called criminal justice reform. And even back then, there's a lot of chatter among my more liberal classmates about how, incarceration and prison and lock people up, how all of this is just racist. Is kind of like it is an old kind of symbol of a white patriarchal, colonialist, imperialist society there, and how the ultimate goal is basically to defund the prisons. And then, if some people are going to commit some violent crimes, essentially let the chips fall where they may. Well, this is letting the chips fall where they may. But most American people have not lost their minds. Most American people stand where Donald Trump stands, which is that they want basic safety. And
I don't disagree that we all want basic safety. I just don't hear him. And like I said, I've looked for it ever even calling for the death penalty in those days that were leading up. So I decided to do what I always do. Rather than say what he definitely meant or what he didn't mean, I decided to just create a micro timeline of Josh Hammer's tweets. And it gets pretty interesting on September 9th, the day before Charlie Kirk's assassination. This is what Josh Hammer tweeted. He tweeted a total of 9 times on September 9th, and you can gather what was going on at that day from his tweets. He wakes up at 7:30 A6, or rather pushes the first tweet at 7:36 a.m., and he tweets about a viral Phillies crowd scandal. This is in Eastern Standard Time, by the way. Right after that, he tweets a link, the one that I just showed you, to his media appearance about Irina Zarutska, where he did not call for the death penalty or anything close to the death penalty. 9:23 a.m., he tweets against Tucker Carlson because he has to do that at least twice a day, or I don't feel like he can get on with his day. 9:29 a.m., he tweets in favor of Israel and throws shade at Trump and Qatar. And all of this is related to what went on September 9th, which is that Israel bombed Qatar for no reason, violating international law, which they tend to do a lot. But he, of course, was in favor of what they were doing. And so he throws shade at Trump and Trump's relationship with Qatar, because I guess it would be okay for them to violate international law if Trump wasn't friends with Qatar or something. 11:33 a.m., he tweets against Saudi Arabia because they came out and made a statement against what Israel had done. So he tweets against Saudi Arabia. And then at 3 o'clock p.m., he tweets against Tucker Carlson for telling the truth about Israel and 9/11. Again, he has to do that a couple of times a day. It's part of his ritual. 5:58 p.m., he tweets about...
See, now there was a rumor going around, Diamond Cutter, that they didn't do autopsy. I started saying autopsy, like a fucking hillbilly.
The Hebrew
My
Bible
bad,
being
y'all.
the basis of Western civilization, alongside a speech that he had given. Tweets a link out. Again, promoting himself. 5:59 p.m., he tweets...
Yeah, it's crazy that somebody who is as peaceful as him would get shot. And to me, and I mean, I'm not comparing the two, but it made me think of Martin Luther King, a public assassination like that. Sad shit, man, when you can't speak your piece without somebody trying to really hurt you. But they want you to listen to them, you know. Says a lot, don't it?
A promotion of his media appearance regarding a Supreme Court decision. And then there's this 3-hour break. He puts his phone down. Maybe this is a 3-hour break where he speaks to Charlie Kirk. I don't know, but I know that he speaks to Charlie Kirk at night. And then at 9:09 p.m., again, we're talking Eastern, Josh Hammer tweets in favor of public execution, and there's no context that is provided. So anybody telling you he for sure meant this, or he for sure...
Yeah, right, co-made, because, I mean, yeah, that's crazy. And then they'll say, well, Martin Luther King was shot with a 30-06, is what they tell you. But it's not a fucking neck muscle. There's nothing there.
Or didn't mean this is a lie.
What's up, hillbilly?
We cannot know.
You, hillbilly, you hunt all the time. What do you think he was shot in the neck with a 30-06?
That. We cannot know Josh Hammer's thoughts. A couple of things that I want to point out. Josh is not saying in that tweet that he's calling for the death penalty. People calling for the death penalty.
Hey, well, people are paying attention to her for sure. She gets 2.5 to 3 million fucking views talking about this shit. And listen, this lady's more on the inside than any of us will ever fucking be, more than likely. So you kind of have to listen to what she's saying. You ain't got to believe everything she says, but you got to kind of be able to read, you know the old saying, read between the lines.
Debating the death penalty is a very common political debate. It's a very common political talking point. It is absolutely not a typical or a regular political talking point or debate regarding public executions. We don't talk about that often. It's an exceedingly specific ask, right? Usually reserved to a visceral response to something that you have seen and in the moment, right? Matt Walsh, actually, we're prepping this.
Does she ever drink out of that fucking cup? If not, she can send it to me. I use it for coffee.
I said, I will guarantee you that when that footage got dropped, which was on September 5th, 4 days earlier, Matt Walsh would have tweeted, this person should be publicly executed. And by the way, he did. He did. He said, we can't keep living like this. The only solution is ruthless punishment, public execution for violent criminals, long prison sentences, hard labor. This guy had multiple previous arrests. He should have already been serving 30 years in the labor camp. This is the only way, as our ancestors knew. We've tried compassion and restorative justice, and this is the result. It was inevitable. So Matt Walsh then went on his show and further explained that already contextualized tweet, and he explained how men have a visceral response when you see somebody being victimized, a woman being victimized in that way that Irina was. So we decided, for good measure, that we should check to see if maybe
Who's she talking about right here? Is she talking about that girl that was on the fucking train?
Something regular that Josh Hammer also spoke about, which is public executions. And I can tell you that it is not something that Josh Hammer regularly tweets about or discusses. The first time that he tweeted about a public execution was back in 2013. And
me and Slayback kind of disagree on that. I kind of think, I don't know. How in the fuck would the bullet tumble, though, to make that kind of entrance hole? And it didn't blow the back of his neck out. I mean, that's kind of... You should have blown the back
in reference, I'm sorry, in 2022. And he said it in reference to the Boston Marathon bombing terrorist account. Oh, sorry.
Hey, you know what, though, Hillbilly? Not if it ricocheted off of something. Even before it supposedly hit his fucking vest. But there wasn't nothing there, was there? Only thing it could have hit was that damn separating fence or something, but I just don't see that. You know what I mean?
Uvalde shooter.
That'd be once in a lifetime.
The Uvalde shooter is apparently dead, but just as with the Buffalo shooter, this level of pure evil would have been another ideal time for a public execution. So, to be clear, that makes sense, right? He is in the moment and he is saying, I'm having a visceral reaction to the idea of another school being shut out, being.
That's why I said something about them fucking remodeling that shit down there, going in there and tearing that shit out and hauling it out of there and making it different. Now, I don't think they ever did find it. I never heard of them finding it.
Saying
we'll find out tonight, though.
Appropriate scenario for a public execution. Emotions are running high. You are visceral.
They will tumble.
And you're learning things. You're seeing and you're learning those things in the moment. As I said, that would make sense.
You know what? And that gun was supposed to be an old as fuck from World War II. So the rifle on it might not move. So
in its context. I also want to remind you that Josh Hammer is a lawyer by training. He was at one point the editor at large of the Daily Wire, and he is currently the senior editor at large at Newsweek's. Plus, he hosts his own show. My point that I'm making here is he knows how to communicate, okay? This is not some random guy on Twitter who doesn't know that if you haven't tweeted all day about something, you can't just throw out tweets about public executions without contextualize them, right? He certainly understands you don't just send out a standalone tweet at 9:00 p.m. and everyone's just going to go, what are you referring to? He knows the public is not going to comprehend what he means outside of him providing some further context. And I will also add here that it is not particularly helpful that Josh Hammer as an individual is obsessively angry. He is an incredibly angry little man. You can read through his tweets. He is openly expressed bigoted and prejudiced opinions against white people. Okay? He does not view himself to be a white person. He views himself to be a separate race, Jewish. That is a fact. And it wasn't a long time ago. We don't have to go back to 2013 to hear his ideas on that. Here is a tweet from him in 2019 that he then erased regarding white people. Here's what he said. Jew hatred is inherent in the European DNA. Okay? Just like it's inherent. You're just inherent. If you're white, you're inherently guilty. You're inherently an anti-Semite. It's just you're born this way. It's just in your DNA. It's incredible that he said that. And in response, we were told that he meant it metaphorically, which kind of metaphor.
Yeah, I'd never heard of him, Jay. To be honest with you, I usually don't keep up with all the politics shit. I kind of know that she's investigating this shit, and she's, like I say, she's a closer source than the rest of these fucking fools.
I do know a little bit about metaphors and similes, and I'm not feeling Jew hatred is inherent in European DNA. How's that for a metaphor, guys, for you? Because I thought metaphor might be fire hair to describe somebody who's headed. Oh no, it's not literally fire. It's fire red. No, I don't think
No, Candace, never mind. I ain't gonna say it.
metaphor
gonna
would
say it.
be saying explicitly and literally that hating Jews is inherent inside of white people. I think it's amazing that he's even allowed, like there's just no consequence. It's like, yeah, well, editor at large at Newsweek, what are you going to do? It's fine. You can hate white people. We all know that. It's fine. Totally fine. Anyways, that's what he thinks about you guys. Full stop. And people are maybe perhaps because of that, because of how he regularly treats people and how he regularly attacks people and how vicious he is, are not feeling particularly charitable towards him, especially having been exposed as somebody who lied so audaciously and boldly and repeatedly and unnecessarily about the pressure that Charlie was under, pressure which Josh Hammer was a part of applying in the weeks and then in the hours leading up to Charlie Kirk's death. It saddens me that Charlie was stressed and Charlie was worried, and that the very people that were stressing him out and making him have that sense of anxiety and worry, then you eulogized him and lied about all that. Why lie? That's the part that the public does not understand. How can we then trust a person that lies in that way? The natural thing is for us to then wonder, what else is Josh lying about?
The thing we hear over and over and over again is, why do I need a deodorant for private parts? I can just take a shower. So we put Mando to the test and compared it to a shower alone. This is the odor score, 0.
Would we trust if Josh came out and said that tweet was definitely about Irina? Other people.
All right, let's get past her
Charlie
ass.
Kirk because he was
And this is where it gets important. Josh Hammer gets even more specific, addressing the question if Charlie was beginning to crack on his support for Israel. Let's not forget, we already know the answer to this is yes. So looking at this hindsight 2020 really is something. Take a listen.
If he is what, or if he was going in a direction that Candace Owens and others say he was going in, very, very simple point. Would he have had on me and our friend Rabbi Pesach Walicki literally the night before his death to spend an entire hour talking about how to respond to anti-Israel talking points? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It literally simply does not make sense. His heart was absolutely in the right place. Again, he was trying to navigate kind of some very choppy waters, though.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. Charlie was just on the phone looking for talking points, trying to navigate some choppy waters with how he was going to address these kids that had some questions about Israel. He was unflinching, but he gratefully had Josh Hammer's book and wanted to go through it and make sure that he remembered everything. Now, this is probably also a great time, referring to that little conference call they had, whatever was a Zoom call, to tell you that Rabbi Walicki, was also on the now infamous text chain. So this means that both of those individuals knew exactly where Charlie was at on the topic of Israel and how he felt leading up to that moment of his death. And again, like I said, 2 weeks before that in the Hamptons, they knew where he was at. Tucker Carlson told you the truth on his stance on Bibi Netanyahu. Nobody wants to address or answer the question of whether or not when Bibi Netanyahu invited him to Israel, what the context was of that. Do you think that guy who's fighting a 140,000 front war because he keeps picking fights and pretending he's a victim really just has time to pick up the phone and shoot the breeze with Charlie Kirk, whose number, according to the released letter, he didn't even have in May? So what's he calling him about? They obviously weren't close if he didn't have his number, okay? So what's he calling Charlie about? Why is he inviting Charlie to Israel 2 weeks before he dies? Right? Nobody will address that. Charlie said no. He did. He said no. He didn't flinch. He wasn't even flinching. He was just busy and couldn't make it out to Israel or something. Now, I will say that regarding Rabbi Walicki, I think he has more of a conscience and soul than Josh Hammer. I haven't seen him promoting his book. He doesn't lie as audaciously and as repeatedly and tweets nearly as neurotically as Josh Hammer does. But I want you to listen to what he had
If it wasn't to threaten him, it was damn sure to persuade him.
to say when asked whether or not Charlie was turning on Israel. Give us our hindsight 2020, Rabbi Walicki.
The wild conspiracy theories online on social media claiming that Israel and the Mossad are behind the assassination of Charlie Kirk because he was turning on Israel. Now, you spoke to him just hours before his death. Did you feel that that was the case, that he was in fact turning on Israel?
Look, Lidar, I was in touch with Charlie on an almost daily basis for months, and he certainly had some disagreements with Israeli policy, and he criticized Israel where he felt appropriate. He sometimes believed things, like a lot of people do, that are out there in the media, and that was really the substance of our relationship, was checking on things and finding out the truth. But that doesn't mean that he was immune to the negative sentiments that were out there. And there were a lot of people around him in the America First movement who were actively working on him to try to get him to turn on Israel. But the real answer to your question is the meeting that I had with him. And the entire purpose of the meeting, called by Charlie called this meeting, and it was on our schedule for weeks, was that he was going out on a campus tour.
Oh, yeah. I'm starting to figure that out, that they've been lying to us, bro. I'm starting to figure it out.
That was the first stop on his new campus tour. And what a lot of people in Israel do not realize, or in the pro-Israel community do not realize, is that between 40 and 50% of all of the questions and challenges that he would get on these campus tours were usually about Israel. Because the campuses, of course, have a lot of anti-Israel sentiment, and Charlie was known as a supporter of Israel. So he ended up being in a position where he was defending Israel all the time. And it drove him crazy because he wanted to talk about America, but he was defending Israel all the time. So in preparation for this new campus tour, he called a meeting of a few people that he trusted to talk about Israel issues and to anticipate the questions that he would be getting, the challenges that he would be getting on this campus tour, and to make sure that he had the truth and that he could formulate answers that he was comfortable with. If Charlie had turned on Israel, why would he even bother with a meeting like that? Why would he call a meeting with a few pro-Israel friends of his to talk through Israel issues, to make sure that his facts were straight and his talking points were straight so that he could defend Israel better? If he was turning on Israel, he would have had Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson in the meeting planning to throw Israel under the bus. The entire premise of the meeting refutes that theory.
How are you feeling about that? Now that you know that Charlie actually mentioned both Tucker and Candace 48 hours earlier as they were trying to do what they always do, which is control who he's allowed to speak to, control who I was allowed to speak to back when I was within the Zionist movement and waking up and realizing something was dangerously wrong when they started to try to control my voice. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable to reflect on that. Now, I will say again, Rabbi Walicki, more of a soul. He's at least acknowledging that something was.
It fucking did. It damn sure did. If you go back and watch one of my lives, that's the first thing I fucking played was that John F. Kennedy assassination. First thing
going on, right? I don't think he would have been comfortable pulling the Josh. It was great. It was amazing. Buy my book, right?
All that shit.
He loved every second. He's amazing.
All of it. Martin Luther King, fucking JFK, all that shit. But they all the same shit, right? Lone wolf, fucking.
Oh my God, he just wished he could have.
They say that's the most dangerous thing that there is a lone wolf.
Gone over. The one thing that hurt Charlie Kirk the most was that he would never be able to wear an IDF uniform. He just wanted to go fight for Israel. That's kind of the vibes that they were trying to put out there. At least Rabbi Walicki is like, he was under some pressure. Okay. He's saying it softly, but he's like, he was kind of needing to have a conversation to say he's not comfortable answering these questions anymore because he doesn't feel this way anymore. He realizes something is wrong. I told you he was particularly worried that Israel was infringing upon speech.
That ain't what I understand that they're a group, but it's the lone wolf approach. Every one of them was killed by a lone fucking wolf, you know what I mean? Or supposedly. Because I always wondered why damn Lee Harvey Oswald got killed by that dude. I wonder why that dude fucking went up on him and killed him. And did that shit just didn't make any sense to me. You know what I mean?
In America, I have text messages to that effect. Okay, so there's
hell, and the dude that killed him, Lee Harvey Oswald, didn't he die in prison?
There's no undoing that. He was aware that they had lost the PR war, and it was weighing on him that he was seen, as Rabbi Wolicky accurately states, as this person
Jack
who
Ruby.
just defends Israel,
Yeah, Jack Ruby.
especially when what they are doing is so plainly immoral. It was starting to
That's what I'm saying. It fucking looks like damn starting with Abraham Lincoln. Yeah. Yeah.
fracture
Hey, that's that Freemasonry shit. I wonder if there's a fucking connection between Freemasons and all them killers.
people's viewpoints of Charlie, right? And Charlie, like I said, when he got into this, like when I got into this, we were genuinely pro-Israel. There was nothing, there was not payment that was coming in. It was there.
All right. How long has she been live for? Damn, I don't want to snipe her live. All right, well, I'm fixing to go watch that shit. Should we snipe it or should I just go over it by myself? Y'all want to watch it with me or no?
So impressive that he's like the Man of Steel that we just went, something's not right. Something not right. A lot of stuff's not right. I just don't know why a surgeon would be saying something that actually only the medical examiner, somebody that specializes in forensics, could really contribute. Yes, a surgeon can tell you, or actually any person with common sense can tell you that your bone density is better when you're younger.
Yeah, but he was still in
This
custody,
seems
wasn't
a
he?
little bit too performative. Now, I can tell you the part that he is telling the truth about is that Charlie's neck indeed did stop the bullet without question. Okay. And
Yeah, I get that. I get that he was radicalized, but I'm having a hard time believing he just did it all by himself.
this is going to dispel a lot of theories that are out there. And I'm telling you this 100%. Charlie Kirk was shot from the front, and the bullet did not exit. And at least a fragment of the bullet was recovered from his neck. And I'm going to tell you exactly where it was recovered from. I have fact-checked this information from multiple sources now. I've actually been sitting on this.
Yeah, Copper Top, we're
for a
sniping
little bit
her.
over a week.
Yeah, we're sniping her. Tell you what you're going to do. I just got home. I was going to come. You can come up, Bubba. That's why I dropped the link.
Right around here.
Mm.
So think about almost in line with your shoulder blade right in the center. Now, why is that helpful? Because it gives us a
When you've got smoke-free satisfaction.
She gonna say a bullet trajectory.
in line with your shoulder blade. That leads us obviously to the part that he's maybe not being forthcoming about. They did not recover a bullet from a 30-06. They didn't recover a bullet from a 30-06. Just didn't happen. Okay. If they had found a 30-06 bullet, Charlie's death certificate certainly would have reflected that. In suicide situations, as just one example, medical examiners feel free to chime in. I've spoken to quite a few, but when the gun and the bullet are known, they are reflected onto the death certificate. Okay. There is not one reflected onto Charlie Kirk's death certificate because they did not recover a bullet from a 30-06.
That's crazy.
Hunters and military men rejoice. It turns out that common sense still rules the roost. Okay. You guys were right. You were absolutely right. And this is why I hate politics, because it requires us to submit to the idea.
Oh yeah, Stacey.
That we were
They're
all
trying to get
somehow
her.
wrong yesterday.
556.
It really can life really can just be a Marvel comic with people.
That's kind of what I
like it's a
thought too,
DC
man.
comic
Because
where
I mean,
men-
like your neck is so fucking small. You know what I'm saying? I'm just making sure you slay back. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? I'll let her talk some more.
Okay, I was just making sure it was you.
men of steel that are able, because they're young, to stop 3,000 pounds of energy that is coming at them.
Oh, yeah.
That didn't happen. So where does that leave us, guys? Well, the part that is now extraordinarily suspicious
Not much.
is that Andrew's
Hold on.
a conversation
Me?
with the surgeon
Okay, I got it.
Okay, you
who
Sorry.
offered up the idea that it really was just your modern Christian miracle, that Charlie was just young and his bones had a lot of density, which made him stronger somehow than a Cape Buffalo. Enough push-ups and asparagus, and you too can stop 3,000 pounds of energy coming at you. What are we to make of that? What are we to make of the fact that Charlie did not do that, actually? It means that he was shot with a completely different kind of gun, obviously, okay? The kind where this would make sense, that it didn't cut through him. The kind where it would make sense that outside of an artery effectively exploding from the front, there was, his neck didn't explode, which that particular weapon that they were trying about 7 necks, okay? You will recall that throughout all of this, or during this mayhem rather, there were people who were insisting, by the way, that were on the ground, the witnesses that were insisting that they heard multiple shots. That's another element of this. But those individuals were not the ones that were awarded with mainstream media interviews. In fact, one guy, and this kind of went viral at the time, even got pushed, physically pushed, and was not given the ability to speak at all. They shut him up. It looked, if we were just examining the situation, it certainly looked like Turning Point employees or staff or students thugged him so that he wouldn't say what he thought happened. Let's take a listen to that clip.
I think she looks cute in her little hat, bro. I swear she does.
From probably the 3rd row in the bottom, I heard the shot ring out. I looked to my left, and then I looked over to my right. I saw him slump over in his chair forward. He slumped over. He had blood coming from the left side of his neck down his shirt, and he slumped over and he was carried off. Get off me! Get off me!
Emotions are running high right now.
Certainly emotions were running high. He was just trying to speak and to say what he saw. And interestingly, though, if you think through what he said there, he said, I was in the 3rd row, right? And a shot rang out, and I looked to my left and I looked to my right. Now, we're not specific on where exactly he was standing, but if a shot, a high-powered rifle, came from 250 yards behind you, you'd probably look back first, right? Like common sense. If you heard the sound coming from behind you, you would look back, probably even before.
Yeah, problem with that is that place was enclosed like an amphitheater. There wasn't, that shit echoed everywhere. And
before your brain came online, your instinct would be to duck and to make sure that you're not going to get hit by something that's coming from behind you. Now, to clarify immediately here and to again debunk some other
she looks
conspiracy
gorgeous,
theories,
Jay.
that is not Andrew Colvett in that video. A lot of people were like, is this Andrew Colvett from Turning Point USA hiding under a hat? It is not true. I spoke to Andrew on this actual day. He definitively flew in to Utah after the shooting took place. He was not therefore on the ground. But the person that is in that video, as soon as I just put up a picture and I said, I'd like to identify this person, his friend first left a nasty comment, like, why are you trying to look out for this guy? He did the right thing. How dare we ask questions? Like, how dare we try to get testimony from anybody else that day? Kind of then messages me privately because I reached out and I'm like, I'm just trying to confirm the story. And I reached out and he says to me, well, and I'm paraphrasing here, he doesn't want to speak to you. He doesn't want to speak to media because he's been instructed not to speak to media because he's gotten the Turning Point chapter into trouble before for speaking out in the media. And he just doesn't want to do that. And I said, that seems very strange to me. What are you saying to me? You have a TPUSA person who can't speak out about things. There were tons of people that were talking about their testimonies. It's very odd. In the immediate aftermath of the shooting, you're telling me that Turning Point USA sent around a text and said nobody speak to the media. That was his excuse, by the way, for why he shut that guy up. People were saying, oh, they're not allowed to speak to the media. So they were just doing what they were told. Well, then it's kind of interesting. You should know that I then determined that the person doing the shoving is first and foremost not a Turning Point USA employee.
With him being feared of being killed, I wonder if he knew he was shot them couple seconds before before he bled out. That would be
absolutely not. He was as soon as that bullet hit him, he was out.
That's a relief, bro. Because I'm gonna tell you, I don't like to see things suffer. You know what I'm saying? I never have been one.
Yeah, I changed my whole opinion on the whole thing. It either has to be another shooter or somebody in a different spot because of the trajectory of the bullet.
Right.
It had to been a high powered rifle, because if you slow the video down, you can see the hydrostatic shock in his body. His whole neck and face and everything swells up as soon as that bullet hits him because it's traveling so fast.
Yeah.
And you only get that type of explosion and like swelling.
Bro, well, let me say this.
That big from a high powered rifle.
Let me say this. If they would have recovered the bullet, right?
Yeah.
Then it would have been proof that he wasn't shot with what they're trying to say he was shot with. You understand?
Well, here's the thing. Nobody, like she just said, nobody has said that he was shot with that gun. They said they found that gun near a chicken coop.
Yeah.
And that's the FBI's bullshit that they do to put shit out there to see what they can get back in return. Nobody's going to know anything until to this fucking court.
That kid still ain't publicly confessed, has he?
I don't know. You can't believe anything because of how much shit is being thrown out there from all different angles.
He is beyond that not a student at UVU. He is not a Turning Point USA student, therefore, either. He was actually brought in as a volunteer, which I found to be quite strange. Like, look, I've done a lot of campus stops, and typically it's the chapter of that school that does everything. It's the chapter that handles everything. Now, bigger events, they certainly work with other organizations. Registered to me as odd that a volunteer would have the courage to shut down a kid that's speaking in that way, in that aggressive manner. I would imagine Turning Point would tell their volunteers not to get physical with students on campus. But what do I know? I just have common sense. Now, how do I know that he is not a Turning Point USA employee and he is not a UVU or Turning Point USA student? Well, because despite him stopping a college kid from speaking about what he heard, that young man, whose name is Cooper, and I'm very comfortable telling you this because, well, he went on Fox News that very night to provide eyewitness testimony to exactly what he heard and what he saw, because apparently he was the person that was holding the mic when the shot rang out. Take a listen to what he told Jesse Waters on the night of.
Cooper Brown was an event volunteer who was just feet away from Charlie when he got shot. Cooper, what happened?
Yeah, so this requires a little bit of background knowledge, but so I work for an organization called Leadership Institute, and what we do is we work hand in hand with all the different conservative coalition groups on college campuses. So the Young Americans for Liberty, the Students for Life, and the Turning Point USAs. And so at Utah Valley, we had been really, really excited to be able to host Charlie Kirk this semester. And we had spent weeks and weeks and weeks getting volunteers, advertising for this event, and just so excited to be able to host Charlie Kirk at this university. And then unfortunately it had to end in absolute tragedy.
Individual, once I realized that not only did he speak the night of, he also spoke on Fox News the very next day, which would mean what? Did Turning Point USA, I don't know the answer to this, I'm asking genuinely, did they say speak to this person who's not actually a TPUSA student, but he was there? I don't know how this works. But the next day, sure enough, he appeared on Fox News again. And I'm not sure if we had that clip, Skylar, but if we do, let's roll it.
Something sounds fishy as fuck, don't it? Something don't sound right.
That day we had 30 or so student volunteers.
But isn't she like friends with all those people?
Roles that we're going to be helping.
Nah, she was friends with Charlie Kirk, and she's got a whole different opinion about Israel and all.
Yeah, I just don't know what like
merchandise and getting people
who she knows and who she's
Butter,
friends with.
listen. All right, so you know what's going on with the genocide and shit, I'm sure.
Well, yeah. I was just trying to figure out what she like, who she knew over there at Turning Point besides Charlie, because she says she's
Well,
talked to this person and that person and this
Well,
person.
she knows all of them. She knows all of them because she's been on tour with Charlie. She just was on tour with him last year and hit some
Yeah.
tips. Well, they were
So-
trying to say she hadn't been there since 2018 on camera on that PD podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
One of the dudes from Turning Point was like, I ain't seen her since 2018. She ain't been around. And it was fucking weird.
Yeah, no, that is fucking
And my
weird.
responsibility was when the event actually started to help manage just the microphone. So something simple as just raising it and lowering it, making sure students were able to speak into it clearly. And I thought this was a fantastic opportunity to be up really, really close, to be able to witness all the amazing dialogue that was going to be happening on campus.
Couple of things about Cooper Brown that to me is a bit of a mystery at this moment. First and foremost, you provide witness testimony. You start doing the rounds on Fox News. You are fair game, okay? I'm going to start asking questions because I need to know everything. Everything's got to fit neatly into my timeline. So in trying to
She's a
reach
little
out to him,
sassy fuck, ain't she?
and in publicly posting him, trying to identify
I
this
love it, dude.
individual, I received a ton of emails. One email said, "Hey, I'm actually
Aunt Love's a strong woman,
his
bro.
cousin, and here is his number." Now I noticed that cousin happens to live in Phoenix, Arizona. So I went and just checked some profiles on social media. I found some Browns, but they were all living in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, maybe this person's
He
from
was
Phoenix,
on the
Arizona.
roof,
Well,
or
actually,
somebody was.
when I went through,
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck you
what he
eating?
has as his
Pills?
resume,
Sound like you ever swallowing fucking
this
ibuprofen.
website where he says that he works
I'm looking
with
for a
this
screw.
institute.
Sorry.
I couldn't fact check any of the things. Went to school, a very small college in
Oh yeah,
New
top
Hampshire.
top for
I'm
sure.
from
How
the
you doing,
Northeast. If you're
sir?
going to school in New Hampshire, especially not the University of New Hampshire, you can go ahead and bet that you're going to be a local. So I'm looking for a kid that's from New
Oh, she's
Hampshire
definitely a
to go to this tiny
firecracker, Jake.
school. I found someone from that name with his name, but it was actually a girl that had that name and graduated in the year that he says that he graduated in. He doesn't look to me like he just graduated college, but according to his resume, he did. And the number that she gives me, which is the first thing that registers to me as odd, is it's a Utah. It's a Phoenix-based number. So I'm going, who is this person, and why is it linking that number to somebody else who is 32 years old and has that same last name? I don't know. I intend to get those answers, but there's something here that strikes me as a little bit odd, especially given the fact that as a volunteer, as he expresses there, they decided to allow him to hold the microphone. That's supposed to be like kind of an honor at Utah events. Turning Point USA kids work really hard to put these events on. They decided who's going to hold the microphone. They went with a volunteer. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Okay? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. So if you went to the Southern New Hampshire University,
Hey, see, and she
with Miss
fucking
Cooper
thinks
Brown,
about
and you
everything,
majored with
don't
him in
she, man?
politics, and you can provide some insight, I'd like to hear from you.
I don't think it matters really
again
who was
asking
holding the
these
fucking
questions
microphone.
publicly because we are getting no answers from Turning Point USA or the
Oh,
feds.
not
Anything that
shit,
makes
Jay.
practical sense
Joy.
in this
I'm sorry.
scenario. Why
I don't
was
know why I call you
everything
Jay. I'm sorry,
so
Joy.
brand new on this day? Now, for those of you that are still caught up in what I just told you, which is that for a fact, Charlie was shot from the front. So we know the bullet trajectory. There's no games here. There's no magic bullets. It's a smaller weapon, okay? Your ears didn't betray you. My ears didn't betray me. We definitely did hear a very recognizable sound of a rifle shot, but I'm telling you that Charlie wasn't hit with that rifle. And there is not a medical examiner's report or a death certificate which will stipulate otherwise. It doesn't exist. So what exactly are the feds building their case on? Vibes or sheer corruption? Because I'm thinking it might be the latter. And who would be the person that can make that fit? Look, I did receive a tip, and guess what? There was another person in this never-ending brand new cast of characters that was also involved in this story, and this person in an email insisted to me that this is somebody that we should look further into. That's the medical examiner. It is a woman named Dr. Deidre Weiss Amaro. Deidre Weiss Amaro is her name, and she blew in from California. She was announced as the new state medical examiner in May of 2024. I'm sorry, from Missouri. I think she also worked at some point in California, and she was announced as the new Utah medical examiner, state Utah medical examiner in May of 2024. So I'm interested in learning as much as I can about this medical examiner. I'd like to know more about this medical examiner. And if you've got something, you know this her personally, got a story, please do send it to us at moretips@CandaceOwens.com. Now, it is possible, given what we know about Fed-type operations and what we know about the JFK shooting, which we are still not allowed to know the truth.
Ain't that crazy?
What the truth is.
What's
that
up,
there are
Josh?
Often decoys, even decoy sounds, that it is totally plausible that there were multiple people there that day who found out, maybe even in the fine hour, which
See, that just kind of verifies everybody thinking the same thing about that shit.
last hour, which one of them is going to take the shot, right? It is likely that a rifle was fired to muffle the sound of a smaller gun, which maybe actually kind of had to, if we're considering the trajectory that I'm telling you, here to here, kind of had to come from the front of Charlie. And I will say that that is now my well-informed opinion that we are looking for a person that was a lot closer to Charlie and likely in the audience. And that goes a long way, by the way, in terms of trying to explain why they're maybe hiding the footage from behind Charlie's head. Maybe that is the reason that that footage was so crucial, first and foremost. Now, there are tons of other cameras. That one gets grabbed first. It seems to me that there's a lot of hiding and there's definitively a lot of lying that's going on. I told you, Tyler Boyer lied. He just lied. The person who took the cameras down was absolutely not instructed to do so by law enforcement. He just wasn't, okay? So why say that? Also, why grab the one behind his head first? Of all the cameras, why that one first and foremost? And when I actually think about the clip that I was shown, it was more to the right. I actually feel that there is this remarkable blind spot on the left of Charlie, which is why I was asking if anybody had footage, not footage if you're sitting there and taking footage this way, but if you are Charlie, I want to see what he would have seen looking slightly to his left. By the way, despite the fact that we had this amazing cast of characters, all these Caldera engineering connected people who made it to the mainstream media to talk about what they heard, there was actually one eyewitness there who could not be shoved out of the way and was able to make his way onto Fox News immediately after to provide a description of where he believed the shot came from, and that's Jason Chaffetz, right? Jason Chaffetz is a former politician and a Fox News contributor who was a witness to this event because he is from Utah. He attended this event. He apparently was in communication with.
She does drag this shit on a little bit, though.
Say that of everyone that day, he's maybe one of the few people that I would say on the mainstream media that seemed genuinely shaken by the event. He went live, was speaking through what he saw, what he heard, what he was expecting, and he was rebutting, because he was on a couple of shows, rebutting the idea that.
Yeah, I don't know about that though, man, because like there was other shit that got shot up that day with Trump. I mean, they blew up fucking hydraulic lines on them damn lifts that was holding the signs and shit. That I don't think that shit was a stage.
That the shot was from far away. That's very.
I think that was just a miss.
You got a bunch of kids who are trying to speak and they're getting censored. Then you have a bunch of people that are giving a platform and they seem weird, right? Tiffany Barker on Good Morning America, vibes were weird there. Okay, not assigning any necessarily badness to her, but didn't feel right. Jason Chaffetz, however, genuinely, when I looked at the footage, he seemed shaken by the event. And let's hear where Jason Chaffetz says he believes the shot came from. Take a listen.
Being there, seeing it within proximity, it seemed like it was a close shot. Mm-hmm. The venue is such that there's a 4-story building, which is the administrative building to the south. the other buildings around the side are not quite so high, but you could be on the second level and watch Charlie. The police had moved the people. There were some people that were above Charlie. So that awning that you're seeing there, there's a place to be there, but the police moved people out to the sides. And so you couldn't be right above where you were at. But if I had to guess, and again, it's still raw, but if I had to guess and give a police statement right here, right now, today, see where that water is? It looked to me like it was in close proximity, straight ahead, right in that area.
Yeah, we're looking at
if I had to guess. Again,
quite interesting. And then elsewhere, when he's on Fox News and people are saying the shot was from like the Losey building, he doesn't believe that. He doesn't believe that. By the way, Jason Chaffetz, he's been honest about his background. His parents are in the government. They're literally in the FBI. So he's telling you that shot was closer. So what gives? Also, why is everybody telling lies? I want to be very clear. It's possible that the people at Turning Point are simply terrified. That's definitely a possibility here. They are very much aware of what these people are capable of. And maybe they're just trying to get by. And they're being told what to say and what to do. And they want to keep the peace. But here's what I think may have happened. I think that I accidentally ruined the Fed narrative. I think the plan was to never allow the back footage of Charlie to see the light of day. It never was allowed to see the light of day. That way, they were going to say that they recovered a 30-06 bullet, right? Instantly, we recovered a 30-06 bullet. They were maybe when they were digging stuff up and there it was and it went through, we wouldn't have known, we would have been none the wiser, right? No one else is telling us anything or showing us anything. And I think they were going to say, or the other option, like it completely took his neck out. We wouldn't have been any wiser. But then I watched it. And the thing that jumped out at me was that not only did the bullet not pierce through, that there wasn't a single dot of blood on Charlie's bleach white shirt until he falls out of frame and onto the ground. I think we accidentally ruined what they were going to try to do to frame this. I think they wanted this to be a 30-06 narrative. And now they're going to have a lot of difficulty getting that through a courtroom. They panicked. They tried to explain it away. They're saying that it's a miracle. I don't think it is. It obviously was not a miracle. I think it is likely that what we should be looking for are two people that had weapons that day. Somebody that was in the audience, somebody that was elsewhere with a rifle. That explains also why, by the way, when I take a look, there's so many adults. There's no UVU kids that were in the mainstream media. Cooper's not even a UVU kid. He's not a TPUS kid. Why were they not able to find UVU students to say what it is that they heard and what they saw that day? And what's really interesting is I told you guys already about Nick, who has been assisting me on the ground. And one of the first things he said to me was that I felt like they were coming around, the feds were coming around, and they were trying to implant memories into our heads. So he was like, I felt like there were these people walking around that we didn't recognize, and they were like, you heard one shot, we heard one shot, we heard one shot. And he's like, I know that sounds weird and conspiratorial, but it seems like they were trying to make us believe that this is what we heard. And it's interesting also because remember, when Phil Lyman gave us his footage and he walks outside of that building, the two now infamous goth girls who are not goth at all and they're just wearing black, they say that they heard two shots. They never made it to Fox News. They never made it to the mainstream media, but they too also said that they heard two shots. Take a listen.
You see where that came from? Is that here, wasn't it?
It was like over here.
Yeah.
What can I say, guys? I think it's pretty obvious that our instincts about this have been correct from the very beginning. We probably need to be now looking for a shooter that was in the audience and to the left. I've seen you guys. I saw some guy on Alex Jones that created.
There was only one shot heard in the video, though.
Created a whole web and explained and did this
But
all on a
that don't-
computer of where the trajectory would have to go. We need you.
That don't mean nothing, no. You know what I mean? But
I mean,
I'm wondering if that chick. I wonder if that chick just didn't hear that fucking echo slap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because there's a crack and a bang. You hear the bullet come, and then you hear the sound of the gun.
Yeah.
After.
And then it being enclosed around all them buildings, having a place to bounce. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, she's on to something, but I think, like I said, I think it came from a higher up angle, and it still to me it still has to be a rifle, something moving real fast.
Gun people, gun enthusiasts, military men, the people that they're discounting and saying you have no right to get clicks. No, please get clicks. Explain to us what it is that you know in this decentralized intelligent agency, given the information that I am telling you, okay, that unless we have a bullet that's doing the worm like a WWE wrestler.
Which
okay,
they are
bullets fire
donating
straight,
their fucking
and this
ass
one
off to this lady. Y'all see all that shit?
went straight into
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. That's why they get into politics and shit, though.
Yeah.
Went left lower side of his neck, essentially exploded his artery, and did not exit out of the back. But that is where.
Let me ask you something,
This
bro.
print prints everything to get your.
What is commercials playing? Let me ask you something. Could they have packed a lighter round, and that's why the bullet tumbled? Is because
Well,
it
that's
didn't
another-
have the power it should have?
Here's the other theory. If it was a 30-06 coming from his rifle, right? They said that he engraved the bullets. Well, dumb fuck could have scratched that cartridge so the walls of the cartridge were thinner in spots. So when he shot it, it blew a hole in the side of the cartridge, which slowed the powder burn down.
Gas escaped. If he carved it the wrong way, gas could have escaped around the bullet.
And
slowed it down.
also, it could have been old ammo since it was his grandfather's rifle from back whenever the fuck. But also during
Vietnam or some shit.
during COVID, there was tons of ammo companies that were producing ammo so fast that there was a lot of ammo that was fucked up. So you would get not a right amount of powder, or if he packed his own round, he could have used pistol powder instead of rifle powder. There's all kinds of different variables that could make that possible for it not to leave his body, but not possible from the angle which he was shot at.
Right. Well, I wondered about that because I mean, like they were saying earlier, as it loses trajectory, it'll start to tumble. If it was, and that gun was so old, it didn't have no rifling on it. You know what I mean?
Well, if you watch, there's videos on YouTube of like old M16s, or AR-15s from like back in whatever war they're from. That the bullet will start keyholing. It'll start keyholing right out of the muzzle because they're so fucked up. But if it was a 5.56 that hit him, 5.56 do shit weird. And I mean, like they've had like people been shot in the neck and it come out their fucking asshole. Like bullets do weird shit with 5.56.
That's what you were saying the other day.
But the mass behind a 30-06 bullet would make more sense because of the way that man swelled. His whole neck and face deformed, and it swelled up so big. It swelled up so big that his necklace that he was wearing, pops off his neck, and that's what people were thinking was his earpiece and shit. It's a necklace that when he swelled up so big, it fucking snapped the necklace.
Shit.
And when you shoot something in ballistics gel, you can watch the inside of the ballistic gel blow up.
Yeah.
And then the back gas come out the hole where it came in. So that could be why so much blood came out at once, was because of all that pressure coming backwards out his neck.
Oh yeah.
But then
That shit was nasty,
that could have been
dude.
why the hole was so big.
It flagged me as
That
weird.
shit
All
was
I was trying to
nasty.
do at that point was not looking to Caldera Engineering, but rather to track down
Hit him
the
right in his
footage.
fucking jugular
Irwin
vein.
Steel, this steel, so many steels were involved. It turns out the steels are big with Caldera Engineering, and things aren't adding up with this company. Okay, it's just not adding up with this company. And I can tell you, I was receiving information from people who work with valves, who have been in the industry for 30 years, that live nearby, and said, I have never heard of Caldera Engineering. That's not normal. I've never heard of them. I've never worked with them. I've never received any of their valves. Something's not right here, right? I knew something wasn't right, but you can't just always go off of just, we know something's not right. We have to figure out what exactly it is that is incorrect here. Then I also decided to prod the narrative further. Another person gave us a tip and said, hey, did you know that there's literally someone who works at Caldera Engineering who is a professional actor? Like, no background in engineering, went to school for theater, worked in theater, was in plays, was involved in plays. I looked through everything, went through it. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Why is he suddenly at Caldera Engineering? Like, not later in life, just like randomly on his resume is Caldera Engineering. Why are they hiring gay actors? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm telling you guys what are the things that I have stumbled upon. Then somebody emailed us, and this was strange. We have not been able to corroborate this. We can tell you the link was real, and that but we don't know if the internet was scraping and got things incorrect. But there was an Israeli individual who was listed as the founder of Caldera Engineering. We obviously know that Caldera Engineering had said that they did projects according to their website in Israel. I don't know what projects they worked on. We weren't able to corroborate currently that individual is still working with the company. We don't know if this was accidental. Sometimes the internet can do some funny things and scrape and put information where it doesn't belong. This particular individual has a very long background in engineering in Israel. Maybe it's because they work together, and that's the internet thought that this person was the founder and the individual was not. But it's peaking our
Appreciate
interest
you.
now.
Be safe.
We are confused, I would say, at best, about this company, because when we wanted to go back and just determine who the founder down in Arizona, right? And I'm looking at these early documents, and I'm like, wait a second. I know this lawyer. This lawyer was introduced to me by Tyler Boyer at Turning Point USA. I've worked with this lawyer. I've paid this lawyer. This is crazy. So what is the pipeline between Utah and Phoenix? I don't know. You can use a lawyer anywhere, but when you're formulating your company, maybe it was a friend. I don't know. But I now have a ton of questions about Caldera Engineering. So if you have any information, or you're able to find anything about them, or maybe you are an engineer and you're like, I've been buying their valves actually for 20 years, actually, and they're fantastic. They work great. I'd like to hear from you. Again, more tips at CandiceOwens.com. All right, you guys, I'm going to throw it to some sponsors. First and foremost, Preborn. You guys know I love them because I have watched too many. Going to preborn.com, 50% off your first order. Lasai, you have knowledge of who contracted this plane. The answer, if you're being transparent, is going to be like, oh, just a coincidence. It was a military operation.
Oh, she's talking about that fucking plane.
The more you peel back the onion, it is very obvious that this was a military operation. So it's fitting that you would
The plane that left and disappeared or whatever?
Yeah.
Military certainly uses. Who would
Yeah, that's weird too.
that sort of plane? Now, this would be a very easy question for Kash Patel to answer. Hey, Kash Patel, most transparent ever, except when it comes to Epstein. What's up with this plane? Certainly, you have knowledge of who contracted this plane. The answer, if you're being transparent, is going to be like, oh, just a coincidence. Just a coincidence. Somebody decided to take a vacation flight from Texas over Utah to do a little circle and return back home. It happens all the time. When you're bored and you just have an unbelievable amount of money, that's what you do. We're not going to get those answers from Kash Patel about that plane. We're not even getting straight answers about the other plane. That's the plane where Derek Maxfield, his wife Shalane Maxfield, they sold some beauty company for billions, I believe, and they now just run a human sex trafficking organization in Utah. That was that plane. I can't remember. 888 is what I actually remember. And it seemed as though that plane left. It went to Page, Arizona, and it appeared that the ADS-B transponder turned off. Now, what Kash Patel told us is different from what Derek Maxfield told us. Derek Maxfield on Instagram clarified that the Air Traffic Control Center was in agreement with them that they could stop transponding. Kash Patel says that plane never stopped transponding. So I don't know what the truth is, and I'm not even pretending that we're ever going to get the truth. What I can tell you is that the investigation that we have been privately conducting has led to more questions than answers. Obviously, multiple pilots, people that work at these airports, people who are invested in
She
this
gone
story have
bad
reached
shit
out, and I'm
crazy too, though,
grateful
man.
for that. Multiple people. What is going on? Like, guys, you gotta just give up. It's gonna come out. Whatever it is gonna come out. You would have to, and I wouldn't put it past you, you'd have to get rid of all of us. You got like 7 billion people you've got to ethnically cleanse right now if you wanted to just forget about the Charlie Kirk story. It's no one's forgetting it, okay? Not the ballistics guys on YouTube that we're all listening to. And no one's gonna let this one go because, and by the way, that's your fault. I don't know whose sadistic idea it was to make this a public execution, but let me tell you where you made the mistake, okay? In 1963, when JFK was shot, people didn't watch it on TikTok. People mostly read about it, and then the feds lied about it, and they heard about it. But to be able to have us watch that live around the world, you traumatized all of us. And not in the way that you meant to. You meant to traumatize us, and maybe they make us fearful and scared. And yeah, that happened. Then you made us really angry that corruption is allowed to be like this, just so blatant and so in our face, looking at us as if we're nothing. And what are you going to do about it? That's the attitude. What are you going to do about it? You wanted to traumatize us and then to, on a dime, flip and look us in the face and go, how dare you ask questions? People are grieving. Yeah, we're grieving because you assassinated Charlie Kirk in front of the entire world. If you had pretended he slipped and fell on some ice in the winter, maybe you wouldn't have this response. But you got our attention because you went after our attention. You wanted this for whatever sadistic reason. You wanted this to be a public execution, and that disturbs me. So you get what you get, okay? This is the internet generation. You get TikTokers that are asking questions. You get our military guys. You get our ballistic boys. You get the TikTok medium psychic ladies. You get everybody. All of us are here, okay? It's like a high school class. You got all different types of characters here. But we're running
going
this.
off, ain't she?
Okay, we're running this. And we're not going to be
Yeah,
like
she's
those
cooking.
teachers that you try to throw
Yeah,
in
she
there
is.
and try to calm down. Nope, we're not doing that, okay? We're not calming down. We're pretty upset, and we're going to stay upset. Anyways, I'm going to tell you guys also an update about Josh Hammer, who's an idiot. He really is an idiot. First and foremost, just funny. I should have pulled it up. He also brought up his book. He issued a statement about the retreat weekend. Josh Hammer just lies through his teeth all the time. And so he was releasing a statement about how wonderful the Hamptons retreat was and that him and Seth Dillon totally did not press Charlie on anything. And in this public statement, he mentioned his book again. He said, like, I came to the Hamptons because Charlie wanted me to bring signed copies of my book. I mean, wacky. This man, it's always appropriate if you're Josh Hammer to promote your book, which is just amazing. Anyways, his response yesterday to our episode was to release text messages between him and Charlie following the call. Great. It lets us know that the call happened at the exact same time that we figured it would actually happen in our timeline, that it had to have been an evening call before he tweeted public execution in this 3-hour window. But these are the messages. We should read them. Charlie Kirk, thank you for your help, guys. Like totally standard response that you say no matter what. Exclamation point. And then I assume this is Josh Hammer that replies and says, good luck at the campus visit start. Don't hesitate to let me know or any of us know how we can help. What's your first stop tomorrow, by the way? And I felt like that was weird because I feel like his whole story was that Charlie was reaching out to him because he wanted help to strengthen his debate. He needed tips on how to, because he just loved Israel so hard that he was like, give me the best talking points so I can go out there and I can defend this state. And I know that like a couple hours ago, I was really angry. I said, I'm done with the pro-Israel lobby, but now I just love you so much that I want to get on the phone with you and have you, who could not beat me in a debate, teach me how to debate. That's what he told us. So we're supposed to believe that he didn't know where Charlie was debating, but that was what the call was about. I don't know. I feel like you would maybe know, and that may have come up in a call where you were prepping for his debate tomorrow, where exactly it was that he was debating tomorrow. I don't know.
Probably would be one of the first things
other
asked,
than
to
that
be
John
honest
Chandler
with
is
you.
an idiot who can't be trusted and lies through his teeth. I do want to get to speaking on the topic of Israel. There was a very good video that came out. Actually, let's first talk about the Israel and Hamas peace deal that they're trying to shove down our throats. Now, if you're reading the headlines, a peace agreement is what we're calling it, has been reached between Israel and Hamas. Oh my gosh, because they decided that there's going to be phases and Israel
Hey,
is
I'm gonna
partially
bounce.
withdraw its troops
Yeah,
from
I'm fixing to
Gaza,
get off here
and
too.
Hamas is going to
Appreciate you
release
coming
the
up,
remaining
though, man.
hostages.
I'm
Yeah,
starting
no
to get
problem.
bored with
This
this
is,
shit.
of course, after everything that happened.
Yeah. See you.
All right, man. Yeah, I'm starting to get bored. Right, Nickel G. Hey, we appreciate y'all hanging out with us for a little while, but I'm fitting to bounce too. All right, man. Y'all have a good night. Peace.